everybody. Welcome back to the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle, brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and we have a great show for you this week. As you know, the Huddle is brought to you by Citizens Medical Center. One of the very cool things about the Medical Center is the Healthplex. Citizens Healthplex is Victoria's premier medical fitness and wellness facility. If your goal is to improve your health, prevent disease, help you get strong and fit, or just be well, Citizens Healthplex is for you. In fact, it's for me too. You'll probably see me and my wife there. Their 7,200 square foot facility has everything you need to maximize your enjoyment and get results. They offer all the space, equipment, and classes you'll ever need to get fit and healthy, including a large array of strength and cardio equipment, over 75 classes per week, a degreed and certified fitness staff offering professional instruction. Oh, and if you need to relax, try the steam rooms, whirlpools, dry saunas, and massage therapy. You want to lose weight? Hire one of the personal trainers to work with you one-on-one, and you're sure to see the results you want. Your journey to improved health, fitness, and wellness begins at Citizens Healthplex. All right, everybody join me in welcoming Mike Foreman from the Victoria Advocate. Mike, gosh, we still have teams playing, and it's almost semifinals.
Yeah, it's semifinals, and we have 4 teams left, and unfortunately for us, we have 4 on Thursday.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because if Shiner, if they make it, will play Wednesday night, and the other 3 would play on Thursday. So
Right.
I understand why they're doing that.
Well, let's just run through them, and you tell me what order you want to go through them in.
Well, let's start from the biggest to the smallest.
Okay.
We'll start with Edna. The Cowboys took care of Llano, but once again, over 100 yards in penalties.
Yeah, they can't do that at the next round.
They have Columbus, and I mean, my gosh, I was looking at that yesterday, and I mean, Columbus is averaging over 53 points a game, and they've scored 60 or more 5 times this year. And that I think they put like 60 on Franklin. And from my understanding, that game they were up like 28-7 at half, and Franklin comes out and scores and gets an onside kick and scores again, and all of a sudden it's 28-21. But from that point on, Columbus just took over.
And we talked about that last week, that Franklin is not the Franklin team from the last couple seasons.
No, it isn't. And, boy, I mean, I was talking to Edna coach Jimmy Mitchell about Columbus, and I mean, it's tough to stop them because, they're obviously Adam Schobel, their quarterback, and then they got the Rigdon running back, and they got a great receiver. So, I mean, their offense is dynamic. And, although their defense has given up a lot of points.
That's true. A ton.
Edna, for Edna to win this game, one, it cannot commit a bunch of penalties. That's obvious. And 2, it's going to have to play probably its best defensive game. Now, that being said, I think Edna has like 7 or 8 shutouts. But, of course, it's a lot easier when you're talking about shutting out an Aransas Pass than a Columbus. So,
I think they're going to struggle in this one, definitely. It's going to be tough. Like you mentioned, the penalties, they can't have what they had this week. And that defense, because like you pointed out, I mean, week 1, Industrial puts up 34 points on them. So
they've gotten a lot better since then. But what they're gonna have to do is Braylon Harris. He's got to be on that field, and they're just gonna their defensive front. I think to me is the key. They've got to really shut down one or the other, either the run or the pass.
Right.
Because if Columbus has success doing both, I mean, there's no chance for Edna. So, we'll see about that. I mean, this is Edna's third trip to the semis, third straight trip. So, they should, experience is not an issue here.
Right.
So, I think they've been this stage before. So I think that'll help them. But, it's going to be, there's no doubt that they have a very tough assignment.
I don't know. It's going to be a tough one for sure.
Well, then we go the next biggest, which would be Tidehaven.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you what, if anybody wants to know what coaching means, just look at Tidehaven.
Yeah.
I mean, David Lucio and his staff have done a masterful job with that team. I mean, they came in this season, they lost Joseph Dodds, they lost some defensive players, they lost Justin Griffith, and, they were fairly young, and they took a couple of bumps early, like they lost to Goliad, it was close, and then Ganado blew them out. But from that point on, they have just turned it around. And, I don't know what it is, but it's a couple of things. One is the great coaching. Two is those guys up there play hard. And, I mean, they're physical, and they do not back down at all. And if they can get you into the fourth quarter, there's a good chance that Tidehaven is going to win. Because, those guys, they just do what they have to do to win.
Yeah, definitely. And they've got that coaching staff. It's, people only hear about Lucio. They hear about the head coach, but it's a very deep coaching staff.
Oh, yeah, there's no question. I mean, you look at their defensive coordinator, Bobby Gonzalez, he's been there now 3 or 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
He's doing a great job. And then David's son, Eric, is the offensive coordinator. And he's done a great job figuring things out. And then they have a lot of other really good assistants. And, one of them is Alan Roberts. And Alan's been coaching for years. So, he's been around and he knows, he's learned a lot from a lot of people.
So, he has. He's been in a lot of places. He's been head coach. He's been, I've known him for a while, and just what a good guy, and he gets it. So it's a strong staff.
Yeah, and I mean, the thing is, you talk about this a lot, but those kids buy in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's none of it. Just seems like very little nonsense up there, and they work hard every day. They work hard during the off season, and this is the result. I mean, who would have thought they'd be back in the semifinals this year? I know, because even in the first of the year, Coach Lucio told me that he felt like they were maybe a year away from being another contender. But here they are, one win away from going back to AT&T Stadium.
Yeah. Yeah, I tell you, it's gonna be exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah, and Woodville, I really don't know much about them. I believe they finished second in their district, and I know their head coach is Ty Robinson, who people around here might remember was the head coach of Yorktown before he went to Woodville, and he's also the brother of Bo Robinson.
Oh, wow.
Coach. And Ty's a good guy and is a really good coach. He did a good job at Yorktown. So, and he obviously has some talent up there at Woodville. So, so that'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Are you ready to take your game to the next level? Whether you're an athlete, coach, or just someone striving for more success in life, the Winner's Workshop is your secret weapon. Yes, this award-winning course has transformed thousands of lives, teaching the game-changing principles of sports psychology that Fortune 500 companies, coaches, and top performers all use to win. The Winner's Workshop, subtitled How Sports Psychology Can Make You a Champion, is now available on CoachTube for a fraction of the original $499 price. The Winner's Workshop will help you master focus, mindset, and breakthroughs to make you a champion. Click on the link in the show notes or head over to LoneStarGridiron.com and click on the ad today to unlock your full potential.
Okay, we go next to 2A Division I, and that's Ganado. And boy, I covered that game Thursday against Marlin, and boy, that first quarter was nuts. I mean, each team fumbled and lost 2 fumbles.
Wow.
And really, Ganado was fortunate because their defense stood up because, I mean, their fumbles gave Marlin excellent field position. But they were able to keep them out of the end zone. And as a result, it was 0-0 going to the second quarter. And that's when Ganado kind of got going. And once they got going, they pretty much controlled that game. Marlin has some exceptional athletes, but one thing about Marlin is they have no depth whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the size of their roster is, but I think one of their coaches after the game actually told me their entire JV flunked out. So, I know. So, I mean, you can't move anybody up.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there with what you've got, and that's what the result. And, I mean, Ganado, Ganado was very focused. I mean, after losing to Timpson last year, they're very determined because they know this is their year.
Yeah.
So,
and like I said, I've been high on them all year, so I still think they have a really good shot this week.
I do too. I mean, Joaquin is kind of weird. They came from that Timpson district, and they actually finished 4th. I don't know if it was like a seeding thing. I mean, because they actually, I think they beat the district champion, but lost to Timpson and one other team in that district. So they finished 4th, but then they've beaten 2 of those teams, and so they're obviously they're a slot T team according to what Josh Irvin said. But, Ganado saw that in district against Weimar, so I think that's going to help Ganado. I feel pretty good about Ganado's chances, as long as they just don't turn the ball over constantly.
Yeah, definitely. It's funny because, out of those 3 teams, Edna, Tidehaven, Ganado, those all used to be teams we played regular at Industrial. So the fact that they're all going to the freaking semifinals is crazy.
Yeah, it is. And like I pointed out, I hate to get on this again, but in Craig Nairn's defense, 3 of the teams that he lost to are still playing.
Yeah.
So,
and this Edna team, it was a 1-point game, and that was a bad call. I'm sorry. They should have won that.
And Edna, they're still playing. And then, Tidehaven and Shiner are still playing. So, I don't know what people expect, but,
right. But speaking of Shiner, they're like the silent assassins this season. Because no one's talking about them, and here they keep going.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I mean, they were very young.
Yeah.
And, and they played that tough early schedule, where they played people like Poth and, well, of course, Hallettsville maybe didn't turn out as good as we thought they would be.
Right.
But, I mean, the time of the year, and it's funny. I was talking to Brandon Carl last night, and I'm sure you know, former industrial player, now the principal there. And he said, you know, when we schedule Shiner, he said, I always tell people you need to schedule them early because they just get better and better as the year goes along. So, and that was especially true this year. I mean, they have gotten better and better. Now, Bremond, they're playing this week, is undefeated, and, you know, they're traditional power too. So I really don't know, you know, how they match up. I'm not sure, but all I can say is people are going to have to deal with Shiner for another couple of years. Because the team is so young. I think it was funny. I was out there last week, and after practice, they do this thing where they circle around, and the seniors go to the middle of the field. And I kind of said, I don't remember, it was Coach Bedeker, it might have been one of the assistants. I said, how many seniors do you have? And he pointed to the middle of the field and said, you're looking at them. And there were 5 of them. So, I mean, that is it. That's all they lose. So, I mean, Shiner is going to be a load next year. So, and they still, I think they have a good shot of making it this year.
Yeah, it's funny. I was talking with Brother Gary Moses for our This Week in Victoria show and telling him I'm going to be at state. And I said, I can almost guarantee Mike Foreman's going to be up there with me because, you know, I'm thinking 2 or 3 are going to go forward.
Yeah, we're hoping. I think, to be honest with you, Chris, I think the most we've ever had there at one time is 2 teams.
Yeah.
One year we had Ruffiero and Shiner when they were in different classifications, and then we had Shiner and Falls City one year.
Right.
So we've never had more than 2, but I mean, there's a chance we could have 3, and if things go right, who knows? 4.
Yeah, 4 is a possibility, but I think 2 is almost guaranteed.
and I'll tell you what, Chris, if we do have 4, that means Thursday is going to be an extremely busy day.
Oh, yes.
Because there'll be back to back games, you know. So Gabe and I will be very busy that day if that turns out to be the case.
I love it. Well, hopefully we'll be up there together because I know I'm going to be there regardless. But
I hope.
I did want to mention Industrial getting a new head coach before we close the show.
Yeah, Matt Ludicky. He was named actually at the board meeting on Monday night. He has been the defensive coordinator at Cameron Yo the last 3 seasons. But he did coach 1 year in 2018 for under Jamie Dixon at Industrial. He was the OC there. So he has experience on both sides of the ball. And when he left Industrial, he actually went to Iran, and things didn't work out there.
Yeah, he was a head coach there. He also spent some time in Lavernia. He's been around a little bit. I think Navarro, too. Yeah,
Navarro, So I was kind of trying to ask him about, you know, offense and defense, but he kind of said, you know, it's way too early because, you know, they're going to have some staff openings and he's going to have to fill some positions. So,
and he's got to learn what talent he has still. Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And so, you know, that'll take place when I guess he'll come in after the Christmas break.
Right.
And, you know, then he'll go through off season and I think he'll get a feel for what they've got, and then he'll make those decisions when he does that. So,
so where are you going Thursday?
Well, actually, I'm going to Edna. We kind of looked at it, and you know, you don't always like to do this, but the fact is, Edna is our biggest area left.
Right.
And, so I'll be at the Edna game. Gabe is going to go to the Ganado game. And we have my good friend, I'm sure you know Robert Cessna from Bryan College Station Eagle. They are covering the Bremont Shiner game.
Nice.
They're going to help us out there. And then I have a stringer for Tidehaven. So we've got all 4 games covered. I'll tell you the truth, I was hoping there'd be a Friday game.
Yeah.
And there would have been if Bay City had won, but there is no Friday game. So I may actually, depending on what happens, I may actually break down and go to a basketball game.
Oh, nice. What about locations for these games?
Okay, the Edna game is at Rice Stadium in Houston. And, it's funny, I was thinking about that. I haven't been there in years. I
love that stadium.
It might have been like one of the All-Star games, the old, when the Coaches Association, used to have their All-Star games. No, they had a couple there at Rice. And then from there, you go, Tidehaven is playing at Randall Reed in New Caney. And then, of course, Ganado will be at Wood Forest Bank Stadium in Shenandoah, which is in the Houston, I believe, Conroe area. Yeah,
it's the Woodlands area,
Yeah, and then Shiner's playing at the Berry Center FCU Stadium in South.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so everything's in the Houston area, and I believe all the games start at 7 on Thursday.
Sweet.
So if anybody wants to go, I do know that the Edna game, tickets will be available at the gate. So
nice.
That will be something. I'm not sure about the others because, some of these stadiums only do online. You kind of have to check with that. But, hopefully we'll be talking about Arlington next week, Chris.
I love it. Well, you travel safe, and we'll be talking next week for sure.
Okay. Take care, Chris.
You're listening to the Lone Star Gridiron Sports Network.
Hey, I want to thank you guys for tuning in, and I want to thank Citizens Medical Center for bringing you the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. Please take a second to share this show with your friends and family. Like and subscribe on any major podcast platform, iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn Radio, Google Play. Wherever you find podcasts, you will find the Gulf Coast Texas High School Football Huddle. I'm your host, Chris Daly, and I'm hoping to see you at the game.
Hey, football fans, Christmas is right around the corner. We have the perfect gift for your high school football fan in your life. Friday Night Legends, the board game. With Friday Night Legends, you can play the greatest high school teams of all time against each other based on their real stats. That means you can play the 1989 Odessa Permian Panthers of Friday Night Lights fame against the 2017 Mater Day team and really see who's the better team. Or what about Peyton Manning's Newman High School in New Orleans against Trevor Lawrence's Cartersville, Georgia team? There are thousands of teams in the library from all over the United States. Get your copy of Friday Night Legends at BoardGameLegends.com and be the hero of Christmas morning.